Pt.2. And WinSockFix is worth noting. And the purpose of WinSockFix is that occasionally spyware and viruses can keep a Windows XP machine from getting on any network at all. This is because it messes up the protocol stack on that computer. If you run WinSockFix on that XP machine, then it'll fix the protocol stack and you'll be able to get onto the network again. And as far as the antivirus programs here, we have a few other programs, and we also have our program that is in our tools directory, which is Avast Antivirus, along with a few others that you may be familiar with here. And you can also, you see here, Firefox is on here as well. You can do many things with these universal boot CDs, such as recover passwords on a Windows XP machine and surf the internet, lots of things, but we're not going to dive into that. But I just want to let you know that they are possible. I'm going to go ahead and close this window out, and I'm going to click on build. Now this is going to take some time, especially considering how powerful your computer is. It may take longer or shorter depending on how powerful your computer is. So we're going to go ahead and click on build, and I'm going to go ahead and just skip through this process on the video, and we'll pick back up after it's done. Now keep in mind also, okay, if you don't have a good copy of the CD, you may get a few errors when it's compiling the data that's going to be needed to create the CD. If you encounter any errors during the process that I'm about to go ahead and skip through on here, then you're either going to need to get a new disk, or you need to make sure your disk is cleaned off. So here we are, going to click on yes to create it, and go ahead and click on I agree here, which is another end user license agreement, and it's off. We'll pick back up at the end. Okay, here we are, and the ISO on my computer is actually completed in its compilation process, so we're pretty much done here, and it should be done on yours as well. If you received any errors and you received a message toward the end that your CD was unable to compile, then as I mentioned before, you're going to need to make sure that you either clean your disk or you get a different version of Windows XP, because there are CDs floating around out there that of course are not legitimate, or they just simply have something that's been tampered with on them that's hindering the compile process from taking place. So like I said, if that's happened, then you can either skip through this part, or you can go ahead and make sure you get an actual good copy of Windows XP. And I'm going to go ahead and call an end to this part of the DVD. When we come back, we're actually going to be in a universal boot disk environment, and I'm going to go ahead and take you through that and show you how you can do scans and completely bypass the Windows XP installation on a computer. Alright, see you in a bit. Alright, so here's our boot screen that you're going to get when you initially put in your UBCD. Depending upon what type of computer you have or what type of laptop you have, it's going to determine how you're actually going to be able to get into this screen, because sometimes computers can be set up to boot directly from the hard drive, or sometimes the CD boot can be taken completely out of the equation. It's going to vary from computer to computer, but let's say just for example that you have a Dell computer. When you're booting up a Dell computer, you can normally hold down F12 as soon as you press the power button. Press F12, and then you're going to get a one-time boot menu, and that's going to give you all of your boot devices available for that computer. And if you put in your UBCD and then you select CD or DVD, then it's going to go ahead and boot from the CD that you have in there, which in this case was our disk that we just put in there. And you can see we have several different options here. And remember, as I told you before, we're only scratching the surface with using the antivirus and anti-spyware properties of this disk. But for our purposes, we're just going to go ahead and select the item, launch the Ultimate Boot CD for Windows, and we're going to go ahead and get it booted up. So let's just go ahead and press enter here, and we can go from here. Alright, so if you notice here, we're into a somewhat of a Windows environment, and you have a really quick timeout here to decide what shell you want to start in, but the default is going to be auto, and we can go ahead and leave it on that. And as it currently stands, the computer is already timed out on that, so it's actually starting up the shell right now. And as we can see here, it's creating our default profile here, which is going to have all of the items that we really need and that we specified earlier. And so if you click on start and go under programs, you'll notice that we have our anti-spyware and we have our antivirus tools. And apparently hijack this isn't working that well in this environment, so it's grayed out, but that's okay. We can still use any of the other tools that it has available here. And so my primary purpose for showing you this is just to show you that you can still do different scans even if a computer is messed up to the point where you can't really get into Windows and really work in it. You can always put in your UBCD and you can get into this environment and you can really do any scan that you need. If you look here also, it's going to offer us network support, and we're going to go ahead and click on yes and just leave all these options as default, and it's going to go ahead and set up DHCP and all that. I'm going to go ahead and do an OK, and just to check, I'm just going to go to the command prompt. I'm going to type in ipconfig, which is going to show me my current IP address on this machine, and I'm currently leasing an IP address on this machine, so that's good. I can do a ping on google.com and I'm getting a response. So we're currently on the internet, so you could go and you could actually download a copy of any software that you need. As I mentioned before as well, there is a copy of Firefox on here too, so you can actually go under Firefox. You can surf the internet if you like. You can see here we have Internet Explorer available, and see we could actually go here. We could actually grab a copy of Combo Fix if we like to, and we could just re-download the program even though it's grayed out. In our start menu here, we can always go back and we can actually download it from the internet, and we can just run it from there. So like I said, this is a really handy utility, this CD. Like I said, we're not really scratching the surface on the full usefulness of the CD, but for the purposes of this DVD, it's very valuable because it shows you that you can still do scans and you can still operate on a computer that may be fully infected, but it's still possible to make that situation better without completely blowing out the Windows install that's currently on it. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you for UBCD. You can feel free to check around in here if you want to. Just make sure you don't mess with any registry tools or anything that are going to hose up your current machine. And aside from that, that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and end this portion of the DVD, and when we come back, we're going to be back in our test machine environment. Okay? To wrap up this section, I'm going to go ahead and draw attention to 3 additional items. If you would like more how-to info on how to create a UBCD, you can go to http://www.ubcd4win.com/how-to.htm. If you would like to see the frequently asked questions about UBCDs, go to http://www.ubcd4win.com/faq.htm. to learn a lot of different things pertaining to UBCD, such as driver information, different software tools that can be used, and a veritable rainbow of other different topics, you can go to their forum, http://www.ubcd4win.com/forum/.